Good morning and welcome to RLA 8 Readiness Session. I'm Miss Jordan and today is Tuesday, March 26th. Our warm up today is what was the main idea of the article we read yesterday in class? You don't remember? Remember, we always write in complete sentences, so here's a sentence stem to help you. The main idea of the text we read yesterday was blank because it stated, see if you can list at least two supporting details to support your response. Please answer in the room chat, or you can answer in the private chat by clicking that question button, and then only I will see your response. All right, please work on this as I go over reminders, our standards and objectives, our class expectations, and our disclaimer. Last week, you had an OLS quiz 7.02 and a TFAR. Okay, this TFAR is broken. It's going to show up overdue no matter what. So please just disregard the overdue on that last TFAR. If you are getting an email from me saying it's overdue, then it's overdue. Otherwise, if you know you've done it, I will get it graded in the grade book. Just remember there is a delay from the time you submit it to the time I can see it, and then I have to manually input that. So it's not like your OLS where it's going to automatically input. So again, this was broke. Whoever put it into our golden course put it in incorrectly, and it's asking you to submit a file. Do not worry about submitting a file. Please don't submit a file. That's not going to turn it off. So just ignore that overdue. This week we're working on 7.03 and 7.04, and your OLS quiz this week is the 7.04 quiz. We do not have any TFARs, but please log your 20 minutes in Mind Play. Also remember that we have no school on Friday due to Good Friday, so you need to have all of your work turned in by noon on Thursday. So make a note of that. Zeros will go in noon on Thursday. If you can remember, oh, let's go over our TEKS. Our TEKS are 8.5 E, F, G, and 8.8 D, DII, and DIII. Making connections, determining key ideas, and making inferences with textual support. Since we've pretty much learned all the stuff we're going to learn, we're kind of now just getting it and putting it all together how you really see it in a real life environment. So that's what we're practicing and why we have so many TEKS now. ELPS is for K, reading skills with a focus on analyzing written information on grade level text. Our objective is today I will review text structure of nonfiction text so that I can use this knowledge to evaluate the text structure of a nonfiction text for effectiveness. I'll know I have it when I can successfully answer questions related to nonfiction text structure. All right, we have the Bobcats. Be respectful to everyone, organized, be a participant. Hopefully, you'll be more participative than last class. Oh my. You can be a good participant by coming to class on time, prepared, ready to work, paying attention, sharing your thought provoking ideas by please participating by sharing ideas on the mic, in the chat, in the polls, in what we're doing today. Safety first. Please, no personal information in the room chat. If you would like to connect with a friend from class, have your learning coach reach out to me to do so. And learning coaches, please remember to remain off mic, camera, and chat during the live class. If you have a question, comment, or concern, reach out to me and I'll get back to you. As always, this class is recorded and distributed for learning purposes, meaning should you miss a portion or all of class, or you want to take notes, you can go back in your Class Connect schedule, click on the session you want to view, and view that recording. If it is after 5 p.m., the day that session was recorded, but you do not see a video available, please let me know. All right, let's go over our warm up. What was the main idea of the article we read yesterday? When you're absent, be sure your LC fills out that absence form and send doctor's notes to that form, not to me. I'm not attendance. But thank you for letting me know. Yeah, it was about famine. Okay, famine is the topic or the theme. Remember, a main idea is one or two sentences. So, in one or two sentences, what was the article yesterday about? What about famine? The causes and effects of famine. I love it. That would definitely work because it did go into all of those. All right, here is a visual representation of what's in your checklist. Remember, this is in my announcements, it's in your content, and it's in your plan. Okay. Yesterday, you should have completed 7.03, all the modules. Today, you should be starting on 7.04 with the start, tell, review, and instruct modules, and finishing that up tomorrow with the deepen and exit modules. And inside that exit module, you'll find the weekly OLS quiz. Be sure that by noon on Thursday, you have that OLS quiz done and you log your 20 minutes in Mind Play for the week because there's no school on Friday. That being said, if you're behind, it's a good opportunity to get caught up. Well, we don't have any new work. Also, be sure to check in with your learning coach to make sure that they have saved your spot for next year. Um, in that form, it's imperative that they put a yes or no. Avoid that maybe or undecided because then they'll just get teachers and admin calling trying to convince them to stay. If you're 100% sure that you're not going to be here, then put no. If you have any doubts, just go ahead and put yes for now. Landry, send me an email and I will message you that form back to you. All right, grammar goal. Everyday edit. Use the polling tool to choose the correct answer. And I'm going to need to get my little pen out here because there's words that we're going to be looking at. For like in this first one, apparently we're going to be looking at women. Susan B. Anthony is one of many women who fought to get women the right to vote in the 1800s. In this number one, should it be woman's, women, or girls? What do you think? A, B, or C? Susan B. Anthony is one of many women who fought to get women the right to vote. Should that first woman be woman's, women, or girls? Let's see if we can get. I'll do the Cabbage Patch dance. If I get 50% or higher, y'all can do that. I know you can. 10 seconds. I need that 50% in 10 seconds for time's sake. 5 seconds. Lock in those votes. We're only at 30. Oh, guys. We only got 30% on that one. Y'all need to drink your coffee in the morning or a Red Bull or Mountain Dew or something. All right, most of you did choose B, which is correct. We need the plural form of woman, which is women. One of many women. Number 2, we're looking at presidents. Let me find that word in here. All right. What women what what women take for granted today was an act of civil disobedience in 1872. Anthony voted in the presidential election and was promptly arrested. All right, presidential. Should it be A, spelled that way? B, should we change it to president? Or C, should we change it to residential? What do y'all think? Can I get your answers in 10 seconds? Again, if you get to 50%, I'll do a little dance. You want to see me dance like a crazy person? 5 seconds. Come on, we're only at 10%. Come on, wake up, guys. Dude, we got a tie because we only had 2 people answer. Okay, so apparently watching me dance does not motivate y'all. Tell me in the private chat what would motivate y'all to answer. And we have a tie. So between A or C. Now let's look at A. Presidential or residential? Residential is meaning where you live. And we do need presidential. It's just misspelled. So A is the correct answer there. Number 3, we are looking for indicted sheet. Okay. So we're looking at this area here. After she was indicted, she gave a famous speech calling for women to be given the right to vote. So, do we need A, indicted, period, and we need to start a new sentence with she? B, indicted, we need a comma and she, or C, it's correct as it is. Can I get an answer in 10 seconds? 5 seconds, lock in those answers. Little bit better this time. Most of you chose B. Let's see if that was right. Indicted, comma, she. Okay, let's look at what's going on in this sentence. After she was indicted, that is a dependent phrase. So, yes, we need a comma to connect it to the independent phrase. Comma, she gave a famous speech. Very good. Number 4, we're looking at this word right here. Instead, she was given a fin of $100. Should that fin be fan, fun, or fine? What do we need to change fin to? 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Please lock in those answers. Let's see if we can get to 30%. Oh, guys, not even 20%. But most of y'all chose C, and that is right. A fine. A fine is when it's not fine like, oh, she looks fine. No, it's fine like you did something wrong, so you have to pay a fee. You have to pay some money. Number 5, refuse. We're looking at the refuse part. Okay, here we go. Determined to make her point that she had done nothing wrong, she refused to pay it. Does refuse need to be refuses, refusing, or refused? What do y'all think? 10 seconds, please. 5 seconds, please lock in those votes. Let's get higher this time. C. Most of y'all chose C. Yes, refused. We need to make it past tense because it happened in the past. All right, we are looking at the word Anthony here. Anthony never was able to legally vote. Okay, this is an easy one, guys. Should A, Anthony be capitalized, B, and take off the Y, or C, it's correct as it is? I expect 50% on this one. So come on, guys. Wake up and give me your answer on this one. This one's super duper easy. 10 seconds, please. Everyone. What's wrong with Anthony, if anything? I'm gonna call names because I'm tired of this. Aiden, I need an answer from you. Adrian, Jesse, Sammy, Isabella, Demetrius, Axel, Aria, Jonas, Melida, Bella, Ray. Wake up, give me an answer, please. Shane, Violet, Chris, Chloe. I need your answer. Ruby, Joseph, please give me an answer. If you're not able to use the polling tool, tell me in the private chat. 5 seconds, lock in those answers. All right, we have a tie. We almost got to 50% that time, guys. See, you can do it. You were 2 away from seeing the Cabbage Patch Kid, or the Cabbage Patch Dance, actually. Apparently, that doesn't motivate you. Tell me what you want me to see me do. I'll jump around like a monkey. I'll cluck like a duck. I don't know. Um, so A and B. Let's see. A is a capitalization. B is take off the Y in Anthony. No, it's not that one. It definitely needs to be capitalized for two reasons. First off, it's the beginning of a sentence. We always capitalize the beginning of a sentence. Second, it's the name of a person, so it's a proper noun and needs to be capitalized. Number 7, we are looking at this part right here. Um, when she died in 1906, it would still be 14 more years before the that does not sound right, amendment to the Constitution granted women suffrage. So should 19 turd, I don't know, be 19th, or it's correct as it is? I think we've all decided it's not C. So between A and B, what is the correct answer? 10 seconds, please. And I would love to get 50%. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
I'm not sure I understand.
You don't need to understand. 5. Like in those answers. Guys, okay, I need responses. Do I need to start calling learning coaches for non participation? Joseph, Ruby, Chloe, Chris, Violet, Shane, Simeon, Bella, Melida, Jonah, Saria, Axel, Demetrius, Sammy, Jesse, Adriana. Next year, y'all are not going to be able to get away with this. The new platform we're going to have is going to show me how much or little you participate, and I will be able to call learning coaches next year. So I want to keep that in mind. All right. Hey guys, we got 52%. Do y'all want to see the cabbage patch? Thank you for participating. Okay, so we have got B is our answer. That's what most of you said. Yes, 19th, the 19th Amendment. And last but certainly not least, we are looking for this part right here. In 1979, image of Susan B. Anthony was featured on the Susan B. Anthony $1 coin. Should we say in 1979 image, be a 1979 image, in 1979 an image? Which one is it? Watch for capitalization. That's all I'm going to say. Watch for capitalization. Did they capitalize it correctly? Can we hit that 50% mark again? I'll do a different dance this time. Or I'll do, I don't know, something. I'll do something crazy. 10 seconds, please. 5 seconds, please. Lock in those answers. Am I gonna have to call it names every time? Come on, Aiden, Adriana, haven't heard from you at all. Jesse, haven't heard from you. Sammy, haven't heard from you. Demetrius, Axel, Aria, Jonas, Melida, Simeon and Shane, are y'all even there? Violet, Chris, Chloe, Ruby, Moses, welcome to class. If you don't have access to the poll, just tell me in the private chat. 5 seconds, please. Let's look at those answers. We did not quite get to 50% again, but most of you chose A. Let's see if that was correct. Uh-oh, they didn't capitalize the I and N, so it can't be right. A 1979 image. No, we still need the N in there. So the N 1979, comma, an image. Image, since it starts with a vowel, we can't say a image. We need an image. So if you chose C, that was correct. Good job. All right, so vocabulary that we need to review before we read today's article is food insecurity. It's a lack of access to enough food to lead to health and an active life. War crime, a crime such as murder, torture, or mistreatment of civilians committed during a war and considered to be in violation of international laws. Humanitarian aid, assistance given by governments or other organizations to people in need due to natural disasters and other crises. A blockade, The isolation of an area by troops or ships to prevent goods from entering or leaving. And main idea, the article explores the relationship between hunger and war and how armed conflict can lead to insecurity, famine, and displacement. We've also been talking about text structure. So, yesterday's article was a cause and effect text structure. It talked about famine, the causes, and then the effects of famine. You can also have a compare and contrast text structure, which tomorrow we're going to focus on comparing and contrasting the article we read yesterday and the article we read today. So, if you want to go ahead and start taking some notes over that, that would be a good idea. You can also have descriptive, where you take famine and you just describe it. You can also have sequential or chronological, where you say first this happens, then this happens, next that happens. And last but not least, problem and solution. You could have a thing where you present the problem of famine and give solutions to solve it. All right, we have a short video to watch. Let me get the playlist where I can see it. I'll turn the room chat back on. Okay, I just put in the room chat the link to the article. Hopefully, you'll have access to that. Um, if not, we are going to read it out loud. If you would like to be a reader, please raise your hand. I would love some help. I will be honest, some of the words in here are a bit difficult. So if you don't feel like it, I totally get it today. Although my poor voice is going to be gone by the end of the day. Let me share my desktop. Hunger and war. Many of the worst contemporary wars are accompanied by mass starvation. In some cases, starvation is used as a weapon. Okay, while I'm reading this, please try to make notes of areas that are similar or different from yesterday's article. And think about the text structure, um, what kind of structure it has. On May 24th, 2018, the United Nations UN Security Council unanimously passed a resolution condemning the use of food insecurity and starvation as a tactic of war. It was the first time the Council had ever addressed the issue, acknowledging a threat to the lives of tens of millions of people, aimed at countries currently engaged in international or civil wars. The resolution implores all parties to leave food stocks, farms, markets, and other distribution mechanisms intact. It demands parties in conflict permit humanitarian aid workers unimpeded access to populations in dire need, and states that using starvation of civilians as a method of warfare may constitute a war crime. Ending hunger and extreme food insecurity features among the UN's Sustainable Development Goals adopted in 2015. Worldwide, the number of hungry and malnourished people had been declining for at least 2 decades, but began rising in 2015. Experts believe conflicts and wars, along with weather events associated with climate change, are the main reasons for the setback. Among the 815 million people suffering from chronic malnutrition in 2016, 60% lived in areas affected by armed conflict. Wars are inherently violent and harmful, but destruction of resources can sometimes create more catastrophic harm than bombs and bullets. Warning, warring parties may plunder an enemy's food supply, deliberately destroy homes, livestock, and other civilian infrastructure. Conflict can cause food shortages and the severe disruption of economic activities, threatening the means of survival of entire populations. Additionally, wars commonly trigger the displacement of huge numbers of people, cutting them off from their food supplies and livelihoods. Refugees are often vulnerable to acute food insecurity as well as disease. Alternately, if people remain in their homes, surrounding armies can trap people inside a village, city, or neighborhood and deprive them of food, medicine, and other vital resources until they surrender. Many conflict zones desperately need humanitarian aid, but increasingly, one or both parties in a conflict may block relief operations from reaching starving populations or even carrying out attacks against humanitarian organizations. Armed conflict can certainly bring about dangerous conditions of food insecurity, but some scholars argue the reverse is also true. Food insecurity can precipitate violent political conflict. Most often, it is only one among several casual factors. But a sudden change in the availability of price of basic foodstuffs can trigger an explosion of social unrest. A famous example is the French Revolution of 1789, which was fueled in large part by poor grain harvests and an economic pressure that led to sharp increases in the price of bread. Most recently, the Arab Spring uprisings of 2011 took place during a period of historically high food prices in North Africa and the Middle East. The history of warfare is filled with examples of military tactics deliberately used with the intent of starving enemy armies or civilian populations. During the United States Civil War, Union soldiers fought under the rules of engagement known as La Bear Code, which allowed them to starve the hostile, belligerent, armed, and unarmed. Remember, Sherman's armies came through the South, burned all the crops. The only thing that was left behind were things like turnips, black-eyed peas, because they thought these items and greens, because they thought these things were used to feed the cattle and that people wouldn't eat them. Little did they know, Southerners would fry them with a bunch of lard and fat and salt and pepper and make them into something kind of tasty. And we did eat them, and that's why we survived, and that's why we eat black-eyed peas in the South on New Year's Day. Continuing on though. Nazi Germany, yeah, Nazi Germany drew up a hunger plan during World War II that, had it been implemented, could have resulted in the starvation of some 20 million people or more in territory controlled by the Soviet Union. Hundreds of thousands did starve to death during the German siege of Leningrad, or St. Petersburg as it was known then, Soviet Union between 1941 and 1944. Among contemporary wars, three examples serve to indicate the nuances of the problem of hunger in conflict zones. South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, which declared independence from Sudan in 2011, may also be the world's poorest. A civil war broke out in South Sudan in 2013. The fight led to 400,000 deaths, drove 4 million from their homes and food sources. Conflict and poor harvest contributed to the hunger crisis in 2017. Compounding the situation was an economic crisis that incapacitated markets and sent the price of food beyond what most people could afford. Armed groups terrorized the population by raiding cattle, stealing food, setting fire to markets, and preventing farmers from cultivating land. South Sudan was also the world's most dangerous nation for humanitarian aid workers in 2017. More than 100 of them were killed. There have been 2013 oh, there between 2013 and 2018, although the rival factions negotiated a tenuous ceasefire in September 2018, UN agencies have reported that well over half the population were facing acute food insecurity as early as 2019. Syria. The brutal Syrian conflict, which began in 2011, has displaced more than 12 million people from their homes, with more than 6 million displaced within Syria as of July 2019. By 2016, Syrians fleeing the fighting contributed to the largest global refugee crisis since the end of World War II. The huge number of internally displaced Syrians represented the major cause of the country's hunger crisis, along with significantly decreased agricultural production. Both sides of the conflict, the Syrian government and its rebel opponents, have used starvation as a military tactic. Repeatedly, Syrian government forces besiege areas under rebel control, placing a blockade on incoming supplies while bombing markets, hospitals, and other civilian targets. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the human rights group Amnesty International were among those who accused the Syrian regime of carrying out war crimes. Yemen. A 2018 report by the UN's World Food Programme, WFP, referred to the situation in Yemen as the worst human made disaster in the modern history of the world, one that starkly demonstrated the unequivocal link between conflict and hunger. A rebel movement known as the Houthis captured the nation's capital in 2014 and ousted its government. A coalition led by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates (UAE) intervened, ostensibly to restore the deposed government. Their bombing campaigns degraded Yemen's fragile economy and destroyed much of its infrastructure. The country's currency collapsed, public employees stopped receiving pay, and food prices skyrocketed. The Saudi Emirate coalition effectively shut down the Red Sea port of Hodeidah and the main entry point for food imports, on which the population depends, and for humanitarian supplies. By the end of 2018, the UN said more than half of Yemen's population urgently needed food assistance to prevent starvation. And that's where I got this article from. Okay, let's do some check for understanding questions. Select the sentence that explains why people go hungry during wars. A, sometimes fighters make people go hungry in order to win a war. B, 4 years ago, the United States decided to focus on hunger. C, since 2015, though, more people are struggling to eat. Or D, there are workers who come to a country to help people during times of war. Which one explains why people go hungry during wars? Again, if you don't have access to the poll, please tell me in the private chat what you think the answer is. I need those answers in 10 seconds, please. 5 more seconds. Lock in those answers. All right, we almost got 40% participation, and most of you chose A. Sometimes fighters make people go hungry in order to win a war. That is the correct answer. Good job. How does conflict within or among nations help to create the condition for famine? A. Armed conflicts and wars create drought, which is the leading cause of famine worldwide. B. Military personnel get the food that would normally be distributed among larger populations. C. Cholera is a deadly disease that is much more common during times of war and conflict. Or D. Long term effects, access to food, farming, trade, food delivery, and medical aid. How do these conflicts cause famine? Can I get those responses in 10 seconds, please? 5 seconds, lock in those answers. All right, even less participation. Guys, wake up! Do y'all need to stand up, stretch? Do we need to do a brain break? Do a little exercise? Um, Most of y'all chose B. Let's see. Military personnel get the food they would normally be distributing among the larger population. While this is part of the problem and can be, it is not ultimately the best answer. The second choice was D, long term conflicts, access to food, farming, trade, food delivery, and medical aid. Yes, this is the whole enchilada. While this is just one part of the piece, this explains everything that creates the conditions of famine. So, good job if you chose D. What was the root cause of the 2017 hunger emergency in South Sudan? This was also mentioned in yesterday's article. A, the rebel force known as the Houthis. B, the collapse of the South Sudan's currency. C, limited Amnesty International volunteers. Or D, civil war and poor harvest. What was the main root cause of South Sudan's issue with famine? Can I get those answers in 5 seconds? 10 seconds, please. 5 seconds, please. Lock in those answers. Can we get more participation? Ooh, I have a tie. 5 more seconds. Please, somebody answer. Demetrius, tell me in the chat. Landry, Jesse, Aiden, tell me what you think. 3. All right, most of y'all chose D, and we almost got to 40% again. Yes, I love it when we get higher. Civil War and poor harvests. Yes. While rebel forces, the Houthis, that was a part of it. That's only one part. While the collapse of the currency was a factor, it was only one part. Really, less international volunteers, that doesn't really have any effect. So D, Civil War. And remember, they had a drought. It mentioned yesterday's article that South Sudan's was the only one caused by weather. They had a drought, so they had less food available to dish out to people. And then, yeah. All right. Do y'all have any questions? All right. Tomorrow, hopefully, you'll come prepared, ready to review these two articles before you come to class tomorrow so that you're ready to compare and contrast them. But right now, here is your exit ticket. Let me get that link for y'all. We're going to do a quizzes. We're not going to do it live in class. It's going to be on your own. Again, while this is not for a grade, if you do not do well on your OLS quiz this week, I can go and look and see how you do on this quiz is and boost your grade. So it can help your grade, though it's not a grade in and of itself. All right, I'm going to go quiet. You have about 5 minutes to work on this, and then we'll come back and review, and I'll dismiss you, okay? So please don't leave if you finish. Just stay here. We're almost done. If you have any questions, tell me in the private chat, and I'll be monitoring that and answer your questions. Okay, how did y'all do on that quizzes? If you didn't finish, that's fine. Just leave it up. Keep working on it. Again, it's something that can help boost your grade if you do well on it. How are you feeling about being able to come to class tomorrow, being able to compare and contrast those two articles? Great. Okay. Help. Looks like most of you are feeling good or great about that. If you do need anything, remember I have my open office today at 4 o'clock. If you're failing, the expectation is you're going to come and check in with me today. Okay. Um, if you have any questions, please come in as it's first come, first served. But as long as you're in the room by 4:30, I will stay and answer your questions. You can reach out to me at ljordan@tvhalesville.org or my phone number is 254-307-0033. Thank y'all for coming, and those of you that participated, I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.